Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Today's very special guest is Dr. LACRECIA Dangerfield. We're going to talk about life, career, and a bunch of other stuff. We might even finally tell some jokes. We're going to get right into it. Thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, first question. Who is LACRECIA Dangerfield?
Oh, who is LACRECIA Dangerfield? I always have to think about that because identity is so important to me. And so I guess we would start first with who LACRECIA is. Looking at my name, it's wealth builder. Just someone who empowers and wants to empower others. So that, like, my name serves my purpose. But locally, if you want to know personal stuff, is that I'm the oldest daughter of 3 girls of Bobby and Ann Dangerfield, native Nashvilleian. For right now, how I show up in the professional world is that I am a licensed professional counselor and empowerment and relationship coach for individuals who are seeking and want to create their best life. Most important thing to me is I'm a child of God. That's something that people know about me. And I guess that's what we can say LACRECIA Dangerfield is.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump out the window. It's a 2-part question.
Okay.
What is the purpose of counseling and what's the benefit?
The purpose of counseling and the benefit of counseling. Let's think. The purpose of counseling is to have a non-judgment. A person that is not going to judge you, but help you sit in a safe space to be able to look at your goals, whether they're relationship, education, mental health, whatever your goals are, and help you to come up with a plan. A lot of people think that to see a counselor, you have to be crazy.
Okay.
But no, that is not true. Because a counselor is going to create a safe space. It's going to be a non-judgmental space where you can come and unload all that stuff that you've been carrying and help you to do your work.
Okay.
Benefit of it, freedom, mental freedom and wellness.
Okay.
Being able to share that in a space where that no one's going to tell unless, there's some things that we have to tell because we're mandated reporters by law.
Okay.
But usually it's a confidential space and people walk away with mental freedom.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so balance. So you have a couple of things that would typically work against us.
Mm-hmm.
African American.
Oh, yeah.
Believe in God.
Oh, yeah.
And a clinical background in counseling.
Mm-hmm.
So, for black people, sometimes we don't want to, deal with counseling, right?
Right.
And then on the spiritual side, people would just say, "Well, ain't nothing wrong with you. It's a spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
The devil's just trying to get at you." So how do you being in the middle of all of that? How do you balance that?
How do I balance that? I am a believer that God created counselors for a reason.
Okay.
And even for me, even coming into this profession, I know it's a calling.
Okay.
That I didn't think about becoming a counselor on my own.
Okay.
So I had to wrestle with balancing. God, you called me to be a counselor. One, an African American counselor. Because we don't believe in going to counseling. So how you gonna call me into a field that my own people don't connect with? And then growing up in the church,
Right.
we gotta pray it away,
Mm-hmm.
or that it just that's a demonic spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But counseling is, I don't see it that way. I believe you can have Jesus and a therapist.
Okay.
Because I have both.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a conduit. A counselor, a therapist is a conduit, someone God uses to help in healing. Because we know an aspect of God is to be a healer.
Right.
He can heal in the earth. We're just his hands and feet when it comes to dealing with the mental health aspect. And if you look at mental health, there's a difference between mental health and mental illness.
Okay.
And
Right.
even mental illness was in the Bible.
Right.
When you look at the stories about when Jesus healed the young man that was deaf and dumb, or the one when he's like he had spirits within him and he cast them out. So we know mental illness was back in even the Bible days, and Jesus had to deal with it. So he's using counselors, therapists as his hands and feet in the earth to bring mental healing to his people.
Okay.
And the way I balance it is that part of my work is I bring up faith and spirituality in my sessions, in my practice, because one, it's a part of who I am, but also it's part of the calling that's on my life.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, the term mental health and church has always had a tense relationship.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, are we getting any better at that, or are we still kind of where we were? Or how are we doing?
I actually think we're doing better. I'm seeing, as we see more and more mental health professionals really wanting to work with the church. So they're doing more education around it. So you're hearing more and more ministers and preachers preaching about it from the pulpit. I'm a firm believer that if the pastor talks about it, especially in our African American community, if the pastor talk about it and say it's okay, people gonna follow suit. Because I always make this joke that if my pastor was to tell us that the sky was purple, if some of us be going outside talking about, he said that the sky was purple. Don't y'all see that purple tint up there? You see it, don't you? So ministers and pastors, if they speak about it from the pulpit and join together with other mental health professionals, because it's not that we're trying to take your position in pastoral counseling. No, we want to be a resource. We can come in and help educate, because a lot of times the only way to get education about mental health and mental illness is if you go to a program that teaches you about it. Because when we go to school to learn about this still, we can be of service within the community. So we want to come alongside pastors and ministers to bring this information, because it's not getting better. If we're seeing more and more people with trauma, and it's bleeding out in our pews. People sitting in the pews are hurting. And if the pastor's not saying, you know what, you may need to go see somebody. You need to talk to somebody. Counselors are safe, therapists are safe. Then it's still bleeding in the pew. Even from because of the stress.
So our education, access to information, intellect has seemed to increase. But when it comes to the foundation of who we are as people, that seems to have decreased. In other words, there's more information about marriage, and yet divorce rates are rising. There's more information and more conversation about sex and all that stuff, but all the other nonsense that goes along with it, that's rising as well.
Yes.
So what can we do?
One, really get back to the foundational thing, because sometimes when we have too much information, it dilutes the foundation, and people don't like keeping things simple. We have access to the information. You can have access to it, but if you don't read it and apply it, then it does you no good. So having too much access has really diluted our foundation on how to do things, the practicality of it. And you get exposed to too much. And when you're exposed to too much too soon, what happens? It runs amok. So regardless of how much information we have, if we're not applying it, it won't work. And social media is probably one of our biggest. It's very helpful, because I use it in my brand, in my business, to stay connected. It has its benefits, but it also creates this false illusion of what people think is real.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, so what's your opinion of the church right now? How is overall? How we doing right now? There was a time when church was it was the, one pastor called it the epicenter of our community.
It was. The bedrock.
In scripture, God's reputation was built on the backs of his people.
Yeah.
So how are we doing right now?
We can do better. As a church, we have lost our position. We've lost and I don't want to say we've lost our relevance, but I think in some spaces we have, because we're trying to compete with the world, trying to pull people in. But when you really get to that authentic place and going back to teaching about relationship outside of religion, because relationship is really what God is seeking. He wants us to have a relationship with him. And even that whole dogma of it, there's that if you don't do it this way, you're lost and you won't be saved. So a person can say, well, if I ain't doing it the way they tell me, why should I try to be saved if somebody's already condemning me as being lost? But their own relationship with God, because God calls us all different. And so being able to stand without judgment, because that's what happens a lot, is people feel judged. I've seen some things on social media in the world, and I would be like, would I go if somebody treated me like that? Because we've gotten away from like that pure love. Because I've seen people, like, I walked in church and they looked at me some kind of way, so I'm not going back. Why would you? Why would you subject yourself to being beat down by a place that's supposed to be uplifting you, when it's some of the antics that we see play out?
No doubt.
It's like the world is like, they not doing it. They not doing good.
Right.
They not doing good. And something that came to me like last week, I said, people don't leave God, they leave the church, the building. They don't leave God. So we, as the church, because we are representative of God, we have to do better.
Okay. All right. So let me get your take on this. Being told the truth versus being judged. If there's a difference, what is it?
We always have to remember, truth is truth, but who's giving you the truth? Because a lot of times, truth is tainted by the person giving it to you.
Okay.
What's true to me may not be true to you.
Okay.
But what we do know is that God is true, and there's certain things that we know, like basic truths. We know what divine order is. But people have swayed it as their truth. So I would question, does that make it a lie? Because it's not absolute truth.
Okay, I'm with you. There's room. The reason I asked the question is because what you were saying about people feeling judged, what I have seen is there have been some people who didn't want to be told truth. Yeah, and they took it as judgment. Like there was a couple at a church, and neither one of them were working consistently, but they kept producing kids. And then the result of that is they kept having to go to the church
to get funding,
right?
To
Absolutely.
support them.
So one of the leaders in a quiet meeting somewhere.
Okay, not out in front. Okay.
Basically said, look, the business of your life, you got to get that together so that you can deal with your family. Okay. So the female side got upset and let it out.
Okay.
Took it as judgment.
Okay.
And the only thing that was said was, y'all gotta do better.
Right.
Because they felt, we can say this to y'all since y'all come to us all the time, and we really want to help.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Is there a difference between the judgment part and just being told the truth about something?
It goes back to perception. Because in that situation, that person perceived that they were being judged.
Okay.
But were they being judged?
I think so.
It doesn't sound like it. but that was their perception. And sometimes truth hurts. We know that.
No doubt.
Because we can tell people, we like, tell me the truth, just tell me the truth. I just want to know. Because if we think about that in relationships, women, we as women, I just want him to be truthful with me. And then we ask, how does this dress make us look? And he'll say, to keep the peace. Oh, that dress look cute. Knowing that dress don't look cute. But when her friends say, girl, you might should not have worn it. But if he told you the truth, you always talking about me. You're judging me. You asked me how the dress make you look. That dress is not for you. So did you not tell the truth? Or were you really asking the truth? Even in the cases of, are you cheating on me? We like, just tell me if you're seeing somebody else. I'm seeing somebody else. Oh, he told me I'm seeing somebody. He's seeing somebody else. She said, you asked me for the truth. You asked me. So sometimes we can't tell the truth. We sway from not telling the truth because we don't want to hurt somebody, or we don't want the person to think we're judging them. So we tell them a lie.
And that doesn't really solve anything.
No, it does not.
And it doesn't help either.
No, because that's why we stay in this vicious cycle of it's going back around that same tree over and over again. We say we want something, but are we really ready to handle it? And that takes maturity. Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to stay away from this subject, but I'm gonna get into it.
Come on.
Relationships.
Oh.
So there's it's one of the most marketable, commercialized,
yes,
talked about,
yes,
and yet
the most dysfunctional.
Yes. So what is the deal? Because I don't understand. I meet a lot of people who are wonderful,
Yeah.
smart, talented, just brilliant.
Yes.
But the thing that's hanging them up is that they're not in a relationship.
And they want to be in a relationship.
And they want to be. Or they're in one.
And it's dysfunctional.
And they want to get out. They don't really want to get out because they have
Because that would mean they would have to be lonely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the challenge a lot of times is we stay because we were created for relationship and connection. So when you are not in a relationship, you're longing for it. When you're in it, if it's not the right relationship, you're longing for it. When you're in it, if it's not the right relationship, you're still longing. And I am a firm believer that identity, purpose, and relationship all come from the heart of God. Those are the things that God gives us. He gives us identity through Him. He gives us our purpose through Him. But He also gives us relationship through Him. Sets the model for Him. But as flawed humans, we have our own imprints that come along that's been passed down from the beginning of time throughout slavery. It's things that we still have as people that make us unique, our experiences, all of those things, the way we tease what happened that play out in our relationships that make us two flawed individuals trying to come together to make sense and to connect with one another. And we have to remember that it's an act of sacrifice because we want what we want. Sometimes negating the whole other person because it's about what we want. But it's about sacrifice because the ultimate relationship was a relationship of sacrifice for us. And we have that same thing in our relationships with one another. It's like, I want to be in a relationship with you until it don't feel good, or we have to go through something. And then it's like, it's easy to get out. Because as you said earlier, our divorce rate is higher and it gets higher because people are not in it to win it. Right. They're in it because especially pop culture, has diluted the significance of relationship because it shows you can get married and divorced out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't like you no more, so I believe you.
Right, right, absolutely, yeah.
Or it makes it the significance of a relationship is your status on Facebook. So you can say I'm in a relationship. So people that really don't like you can like you. Your status.
Yeah, right.
But we're not doing the real work of what it takes to be in relationship. And we have to heal even our primary caregiving relationship, the relationship we had with our parents. If that's not good, it shows up in your relationship down the line. It just completely shows up. You're like, why are you doing that? But it's because we're not able to connect and attach because our primary relationships were wounded.
Okay. All right. Last question about this, and I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
Are relationships? Is it a union, or is it a collision of two histories?
Both.
Okay.
Both. It's a collision of two histories because people gonna bring that stuff.
Okay.
And as I was saying earlier, just a few minutes ago, is that we bring these imprints that came from slavery. Then our grandparents modeled a certain way of relationship for our parents. Then our parents modeled a certain relationship for us. Not only that, but our experiences. If we've been in a relationship with other people and it wasn't a good relationship, it's going to play a part in our current relationship. So it's a collision of us coming together. But if we are wanting to make it a life partnership, it has to become a union. It has to come together because that's when you take it two people, two flawed people working, and you have to have God's covering over it and His way of doing things to make it that union that it's set up to be.
Okay. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Are we evolving or devolving? And here's the reason I ask that question. Sometimes I look around, it seems like we're all a bunch of 6-year-olds. And here's what I mean. All of our business is on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Every little thing bothers us.
Mm-hmm.
Our professional and adult lives seem to revert back to however we would handle things back in the 6th grade.
Oh yeah.
It seems to have gone back to that, and it seems to be a whole lot of us that act like that.
Yeah.
So what's going on with us?
Let's talk about that. That's a very good question, and it's a trauma.
Okay.
It's trauma. I don't, from my own belief system, I don't think any of us are without trauma.
Okay.
And trauma is something that was never really talked about in public places, but now it is. But if you think about it, if your growth was disrupted, or your relationship with your primary caregiver, and when I say primary caregiver, I'm talking about your mother or your father. If that person was not there, or if that person was there and they were absent, they were not fully present, it created a trauma for you. Usually wherever we have our trauma is where the behavior we get stuck in. So a lot of us is our first trauma. You know, we had some traumas growing up, but probably a major trauma probably happened in teenage years. And you get stuck there. So you don't know how to process your feelings. You don't know how to handle conflict. And when we live in a society where the more drama it is, the better the ratings, you begin to say that this is reality. But that's not reality. That's not how normal, mature people act.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
But when you see it every day, that's what is modeled. People, we are social beings. We're social learners. We learn from social interaction. So if we see it, start mimicking it. And if it's getting you likes, it's getting you deals, movie deals, if it's getting you those, and that's what you're driving for, because it goes back to even a sense of self-worth and identity. My identity is being created by this drama.
I got you.
So, in a way, we may be evolving when it comes to technology and inanimate objects, inanimate things. But as individuals, I think from our behaviors, we are evolving.
Okay. Okay. So is there a how do we fix that? What do we do? How do we deal with that? Because we're already crazy. So how do we deal with it?
Do your work.
Okay.
Do your work. Be willing to own your stuff.
Okay.
Own it. Be okay with being vulnerable and saying, I need some help. That I'm not liking the way my behavior is. Especially when it's the same behavior that keeps getting you the same results. Because who is it? I think it's Albert Einstein that said, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. We're doing the same thing. So you have to be willing to do your work. Your work takes place in being healing in our relationships, especially around healing your relationship with your primary caregiver, or healing those wounds that were there. You may not be able to go back and physically have a conversation with your caregiver, your parent, your mother, your father may not be there, or you know that person's not ready to, not willing to do their work. But you have to be able to do something that's going to help heal that core wound. Because we all have some core wounds of, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, that fear of rejection. All of those things play a part in all of us somewhere. And being able to do that work, being able to, because even in my practice as a counselor, I have people come in and they're talking about, they're like, I really wish that my mom, or I really wish my dad would do different. And I always ask the question is, if your parent never changed, would you be able to live with who they are now? And I say the same thing about spouses. When people come in and complain about, oh, he won't, he or she won't do this. They keep doing that. I say, if that person never changed, can you stay in a relationship with them? And that would mean you have to do your own work to be able to accept it or reject it.
Okay. Understood. Okay. Bullying. I have a problem with bullying.
Adults and children.
Yeah, I have a problem with it. Only because I have a compass. It's a small compass, but I have a compass.
Okay.
Because I remember what bullying was.
Okay.
Somebody had to physically be there. Something was actually going on.
Okay.
To be
Yeah.
bullied. Okay. The majority of the bullying that happens now is in cyberspace.
Oh, because people can hide behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's unfair, but sometimes I'm a little thrown off by people getting so upset by what's said about them, what's said to them, because they're not there. Only because I remember you had to be there.
Yeah.
You couldn't just come out your mouth and say whatever you wanted about somebody without expecting them to be there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what's the deal with bullying right now?
Hurt people hurt people. And people, our access to social media allows people to hide behind their actions. So they can't take responsibility for their actions.
Okay.
So it's so much easier. But if you are somebody that's already hurt, that means that your self-esteem is probably low. And usually a bully's self-esteem is low. That's why they're not liking themselves. They have some gaping holes in their own identity, in their own purpose. They have these core holes. So they feel it by being able to be the oppressor. Because we live in a society where it's someone always thinking that they are the higher, and then they use their power to oppress somebody they perceive to be weaker than them, but really that person that's probably being they're doing the oppression out of fear. Because if the person that feels like that's being oppressed stood in their power, they could challenge.
Okay.
And we know, we see it every day. We got bullying that comes from the White House.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt. Okay. All right. Well, I'm trying to become a little more patient with that kind of stuff. I'm trying my best. It's just that it's like when I try to talk to some old heads about civil rights, the relationship is different.
Yes.
Because I wasn't there.
Yes.
Most of what I talk about is academic because I wasn't
There. Yes.
there. Yeah. So I'm trying to grow and evolve.
Okay.
And become a little more understanding
Of the story. Because that's what it all ends up being, is being willing to understand another person's story. You may not agree with their story, but remember, it's their story and their perspective.
Absolutely.
Of how they saw. Because think about it, you grew up in the same home with your siblings, but everybody probably had a different perspective on the relationships within the family.
Yes, absolutely. People are upset about stuff that you never even realized
that they were upset about. And you're like, well, why you didn't say something?
Right, absolutely.
And then when they said, you're like, oh. But then that's when you can say, oh, okay, I understand. I'm not going to take that away. I can't take that away from you and say, oh, no, that never happened. But because that's how you perceive that it happened. And as it says, perception is reality for whoever's reality it is.
Okay. All right, a couple more things and I'll let you go. First question, if you became the next president of this country, what would be the top 3 things that you, or at least the first 3 that you try to do?
Number one, I would get rid of school loans. Okay, that would be it. One, because it's about financial wealth and legacy. Because so many people are up under so much debt from school loans that they're not able to even live life.
Okay.
Education. Okay. Bring in more equality. Equality across not only gender lines, but across race. And I know I know that would be a challenge. And people say, I want world peace. That's probably can't have that. Because we're gonna be fighting for world peace forever. Because they ain't even had world peace back in the Bible days. But people like, I want world peace. No, I just want people to be able to live in a space where they're not judged by not being part of what the world considers as the dominant.
Okay.
The dominant culture or the dominant race. Okay. Which we know that is really no longer the dominant race.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
It's really against the have and the have-nots.
Right.
And so being able to kind of somewhat leveling that playing field because then that would cross over what we consider oppressed populations.
Okay.
Being able to do that. So, but I couldn't be president because too many people, the rules people try to put on you that they're not applying to their life. I couldn't be president. That's too much. For me, that's too much. As an introvert, they would be like, where is Madam President? I'd be like, you know what? I ain't got time for all this. Y'all need to handle that. Get some stuff going. So I know that.
Okay.
But yeah, educate around our education systems, because I'm a believe education will elevate you to another level. The education, getting people out of that financial debt that education has created.
Okay.
And then equality.
Okay. All right, let's do a little word association. First thing that pops in your head. Health.
Wealth.
Education.
A need, a necessity.
Family.
Oh, love.
Motion.
Motion. Forward.
Religion.
Dogma.
Relationship.
Funny.
Amen.
Funny.
Okay. All right. Speaker.
Truth.
Words.
Life.
Conversation.
Love it.
Communication.
Much needed.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay. This is the last thing. Do you have anything to promote? Got anything going on that you want to tell the viewers about?
Actually, I'm working on some things around relationship identity and purpose, especially when it comes to single women. Be on the lookout. A book will be coming out in the fall. On that, the heart of the matter.
Okay.
And it's about a woman's guide to identity, purpose, and relationship. And it's teased through the lens of having a relationship with God, having a relationship with self, and then having a relationship with others. And I do coaching services for individuals that are looking to connect who they are to what they do, so that they can create the life that they want and the relationships they want.
Okay.
And you could be not in a relationship and you want to get better with your, like, healing your own relationship with yourself and others, or you could be premarital, pre-engaged, haven't made the decision that you're gonna get married because you need to know. So I do coaching around pre-engaged couples, pre-engaged people. Like, are we ready to take this relationship to the next place? Premarital, if you're ready to get married, but you need to do your premarital counseling, because people wake up someone and say, I didn't know this. And my whole thing is, how did you not know it? You didn't talk about that in counseling. So those are things that I do, identity and purpose coaching for individuals that's looking to be the best that they can be.
Okay, so how do we find you when we need you? Because we're gonna need you.
You can find me. You can follow me most definitely on social media. On Instagram, I am Dr. Dangerfield. Facebook, LACRECIA Dangerfield. No, Dr. LACRECIA Dangerfield, because LACRECIA Dangerfield is my personal page.
All right.
And you can find me on LinkedIn. My email address is LACRECIA, LACRECIA @drdangerfield.com. I have two websites, www.drdangerfield.com, which really is geared towards professionals. But then I also have another page, is www.reimprint, which is REIMPRINT, yourlife.com. So it's reimprint your life.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being a part of the show. That's all we got.
Thank you for having me.